This video is going to explore how to make connections to social studies or world cultures and art. If you are a social studies teachers or world cultures teachers, connecting with your art department may be a great way to get some ideas and understand about material handling. If you're an art teacher and you're looking to incorporate more core content standards, sit back and enjoy this video. You will certainly be able to find a few things that you're going to get some information from. So here we have a concept of the altered book. So different pages of the book can be chunked together and show off 5 or 6 or 7 different concepts. So if you pick a culture, then they can pick the animal from the culture can be one section. The native flower from that culture can be in there. Different tribal regions can be in there. So the altered book can be a fun way to kind of recycle books from the library that they're normally going to be throwing out, but then create a three-dimensional representation of a different culture that you're exploring. If you're looking at any social issues, this one is one that I did for hunger. I have students research facts about hunger in their community, state, country, or globally, and they put that as a fact around the edge of the placemat, and then we create food out of wires. So we can see the form of the food there, but there is no food there, so it reinforces this idea of hunger. So that can be a great kind of exploration, and we can put it on display, generally during food drives, like when we're doing something for Thanksgiving and collecting food. It can remind students that, hey, maybe we need to think of others. Here's another one of shoes that are decorated. We just spray paint them with white spray paint, and then we can talk about different cultures, walking through the cultures. By painting on the shoes, maybe you can use indigenous patterns of different cultures that the students are exploring. They can pick a culture out of a hat, do the research, and then create a shoe based on that, or decorate a shoe based on that. This way, maybe you can have lots of different cultures instead of everyone doing one particular culture. They can pick one and then show and tell and share and get some more knowledge that way. Here's an idea of using a box as a virtual museum. So you can show off a different culture as though you have a museum showing off, African arts or Oceanic arts or Asian arts. And then students would usually do a little writing on the side. So each of the images, I had them label them 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they have some sort of piece of paper off to the side with a written explanation of what we're seeing in their museum. Obviously, masks make a great way to kind of explore cultures. These have patterns from the culture that are connected to the students. So I have students do some interviews with their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents if they can. What are their cultural backgrounds? And then they research different kinds of patterns that they can incorporate into a mask. They can even find if their culture has certain kinds of mask forms that they can use. And then this can be a great exploration to learn more about themselves and share and learn more about world cultures. Puppets are a great way to kind of learn and teach a concept. So I have students learn about a concept and then they create a puppet so they can teach others about that particular concept. So we can have them do cultural puppets, and then the puppet is talking about what's going on within the culture or even the language. That can be kind of a fun thing to explore. Here we do a little fashion design unit, and you could certainly do this based on cultures and looking up the clothing that that particular culture wears for weddings, for everyday dress, for special occasions or ceremonies. So I have it broken down into 3 here. We do a formal, a casual, different kind of look, but this can be taken in lots of different sort of directions. Here we have a trading card idea. So you could take a historical figure from a country, maybe a particular leader, and create a trading card. I like to put these in a hat, and then students pick and create a trading card and then share and trade with each other to learn. We have this one here is a weaving project, kind of the God's eye, but I have students do their weaving and use colors to represent different emotional values. So then it has some sort of personal meaning as they're creating something. So in this particular one, brown is representing hard work, orange is kind of representing an outgoing personality, blue is sort of representing the chill side of them, black is representing the mystery, things that they don't necessarily share with other people. So when you can make personal connections within the the craft items that they're creating, that can be a fun way to kind of make those personal connections, and everyone will come up with something different and be able to explain it at the end. Here we have another one. based on Alebrijes of Mexico. So students again are looking up patterns and animals from their own cultures and then creating these sculptures. We made them first out of foil and then wrapped them in plaster, but you could certainly do paper mache as well. Here, students work in groups of 4 to create posters to represent different sort of cultural events, or in here we can talk about different things that are going on in their school, anti-bullying posters. So posters can be a great way to kind of explore culture and social issues. Here we did one where the students had to look up their culture and then create a food platter that represented food that would be indigenous to their culture, and then we did a little show and tell. This was kind of fun on the elementary level. Here, when we were studying Asia, the students would look up their name in Chinese, and then they would remake their name in little pieces and parts that represented what they liked to do. So in this one, we can see the tennis rackets kind of crossing over each other. Each of these little elements is both the name, but also teaches us a little bit about the student. This next one, we have a comic book cover, and it's labeled with the logo, title, subtitle, and main action. So again, any concept that can be broken down into those 4 parts can then be used in a social studies exploration. So we could talk about the Rohingya and the struggle that is going on there, or any other cultural event. Using lenticulars is a great way to show a before and after. You could show, India before it was, separated from Britain, and then after as 2 different concepts, or anything else that you feel like there's a before and after that can be represented that way. You can have students pair up and cut their drawings up into strips, and then all the one image goes on the right-hand side and the other image goes on the left-hand side. So as you walk down the hallway, you see one image in one direction, and then as you turn, you could see the other direction, a different image. This one here is an unfolded image, so it's 9 parts that unfold and unroll to reveal a story. So if there's something that can be broken down into 9 stages of a story, this might work for you. Here's an illustration or a little video of the student unfolding it so you can see how it works. So anything that can be done as a story, maybe the passage of time, some sort of event that's happening, and we could see the beginning, the middle, and the end. This can be a great way to kind of do it, and it's kind of like animation without having to deal with video tools and things like that. Here we have an interview with a dead artist. I do it as interview with a zombie artist, but you could certainly pick an important figure in history, in social events, an interview with Nelson Mandela, interview with any figure from history that is important in social studies or cultural studies. So this, by writing about them as a zombie, somebody who's been brought back, there's less plagiarism happening in projects like this. I find when they write in the first person and they look at it as a zombie kind of thing, they have a lot of fun with it and they really get into it. So I've enjoyed it, students have enjoyed it. It's definitely a lot better than writing the kind of the tried and true old research papers. Here we're exploring lanterns from Asia, but instead of culturally appropriating the Asian lanterns, I have students look at their own cultures and then create a lantern to kind of represent their own culture. So they would do colors and symbols like this one or this next one. So we got the paper lanterns. I think I just ordered them off of Amazon or Nazco, and then we did some decorating with tissue paper and glue. Speaking of patterns, this is another one that was done as a pattern project using a photocopier. So there is a way to cut up the paper in a design and then redraw that will repeat infinitely, and you can use a photocopier very easily, glue the pictures together, and then students can kind of hand color them in. So that can be a lot of fun. Playing with symbols again, we can have radial designs that look like a sun. So I have here 2 different suns that are representing the cultures of the students as they kind of had to look it up and incorporate that into them. And then they had to do a little writing on an index card that was displayed next to their artwork. Here we have another one, a cultural symbol. So we have the student pick an animal from their culture that they feel kind of represents them. Here the high-flying eagle. And then in the background, we have a symbol from an Asian culture, I believe. I'd have to look it up again, but I think it comes off of the Philippine flag. So by putting these two together, we get a striking image that then tells a story about the student. Here's another one. Actually, this is my teacher's sample. So the wolf is kind of the lone wolf. So that kind of represented me because I'm kind of going into areas that are, kind of alone. I'm the first one there. As an art teacher, I'm exploring different concepts in unique ways. And then the clovers represent my Irish heritage. Here we have a quote from a famous figure in history and then an illustration that goes along with it. So combining the text and the image can be a lot of fun and teach students a little bit more about breaking down a quote and interpreting it. And here's another one by Emilio Zapata. So we can see that it's a striking image that goes a little bit beyond just, kind of writing down quotes. I definitely have students do research, and that would either go on the back or on some lined paper next to the art as we put it on display. The last one I have here is a comic where a cartoon character that represents the student kind of walks us through a concept or an event. So in this particular one, it's for a science one where they're talking about the birth of the solar system, but you could certainly take any of our social studies or culture explorations and break it down into a comic strip, and students definitely tend to enjoy that. I do have this other book called If Picasso Went on Vacation, where we explore different cultures from around the world through the art of, it's not just Picasso, there are other artists kind of represented, so like Gustav Klimt and Easter Island. So we get to see, the Maori figures. The poem teaches about Gustav Klimt, but also about Easter Island. And the last three lines of the poem teach students how to say yes, no, and hello in the indigenous language. So I actually met a blogger who was from Easter Island, and he taught us how to say yes, no, and hello. Students get to see where that country is. So there's a lot of fun cultural connections that can be made with this book, If Picasso Went on Vacation. I'll have links to that below at firehousepublications.com. If you want to get a class set, we can get you, a really low price for that, and that way students can explore the country they would like to, so they can have, up to 50 different explorations going on at the same time, and then have a nice, like a show and tell afterwards where students are teaching each other about what they learned. If you found any of this helpful, go ahead and like and subscribe to my videos and share it with a friend. And please check out some of my other videos on this playlist if you're trying to incorporate core content into your art practice. Thank you very much.